Hey, what's up, everyone? So, check out what I have: The Haunted Forest Tour by Jeff Strand and James A. Moore on a Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition. Let me tell you a little about my history with ebooks. The only ebook that I think I've ever read was Under the Dome by Stephen King, and I only made it like 200 pages into that. I was trying to read it in like 2011 on a smartphone, which is not a great experience for reading an ebook. And then besides that, the only other ebook or e-reader that I've really handled was from my brother, who bought a Nook, and I briefly took a look at it when he first bought it, but I don't think he's read it since. I think he might have read one or two books on it and kind of just called it quits. So I don't know if it has to do with the Nook specifically or if he just doesn't like e-readers, but yeah, so I basically had no experience. I was kind of going into this blind, buying a Kindle. I did do a little research online to see like which e-reader I should get, but I kind of heavily gravitated towards Kindle. I'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, I didn't really consider Kobo too much or anything like that. So why did I buy an e-reader at all? Because if any of you know me, I am a huge paperback and hardcover person. I never really had an interest in e-readers. I maybe once or twice a year, I would kind of get like a feeling for like a week or so, kind of wanting to buy an e-reader just to get a new experience with books, but it just never came to fruition. Anyway, so the reason I kind of broke down this time to get one was because I got a lot of advertisements on Facebook regarding like self-published authors. These self-published authors would, advertise and try to get more people, to purchase their book, obviously. A lot of them are ebooks, and of course you can get paperbacks with that, but personally, I never buy books online. I've probably can count on one hand the number of times I've bought a book online, and I don't know really what it is, but I think it's just that I like to actually physically hold a book in the store before taking it home. I don't even go to like Barnes and Noble and place an order or something if a book isn't there. For example, there's an author named Christopher Golden, who I don't think he's self-published or anything, but he's not as big as like someone like Stephen King. And he came out with a book called Road of Bones recently, which I've really been wanting. And for quite a while, I've been going to Barnes and Noble and looking for it every time I'm there, just to see if it's been in. And I actually looked online. No Barnes and Noble within 100 miles has it, so I'm assuming that no Barnes & Noble anywhere carries this book. But I was just browsing Barnes & Noble the other day, and, they got those little stands that have, like, Book of the Month or the Holiday Read, stuff like that. And I saw Mystery Thriller Pick of the Month, and it was Christopher Golden's book, Road of Bone. So I immediately picked it up. But had that not been the case, I still would not own that book. Just because, like I said, I hate buying books online. The times that I bought them online, they've either came damaged or I've had a bad experience. And like I said, I just don't like waiting for a book. I like to be able to physically hold it and take it home. So I think an e-reader is really going to help me dive more into indie authors. Um, for example, like when I see an advertisement on Facebook or something, now I can basically immediately look it up and purchase it. Also, a lot of indie authors I've noticed discount their books on ebook versus paperback. Unlike, let's say, Stephen King, if you go on the Kindle store or something, you might see a Stephen King book, but normally it's about the same price as like a paperback of his. So, if I'm looking for an indie book, I can get this. I can get a deal on it. Typically, from my experience, my limited experience of 1 or 2 weeks of playing with this thing, but like this book, Haunted Forest Tour, was $4.99. Normally, I think it's like $12 on paperback, so I got it for less than half the price. And I don't even think it was on sale. I think that was just normal ebook price. So it's going to allow me to, feel a little bit better about spending too much money on books. And with indie books, I'll be able to get them like instantly. I don't have to wait. I can immediately start reading them as soon as I pick them up. The next thing is that I'm actually planning on moving across country in like a year or so. And it was kind of my wife's push, not a huge push, but she kind of nudged me in that direction of if I got an e-reader, I'd be able to save a lot of space. For example, if I buy, another 30 books over this year, that's probably going to be another box that I'm going to have to pay to ship across the country or, pack and put in my car. So with this, I could buy another 1,000 books and I wouldn't notice a difference. Plus, like I said, it'd probably be much cheaper. And the last reason I think that I really wanted an e-reader this time was just because I wanted a new experience reading books. I've gotten so used to reading paperbacks and hardcovers that, you read for maybe an hour or two and you kind of start dozing off, or, your eyes get tired, or maybe you just want a different activity. And for example, I was reading Fairy Tale. I have a hardcover of Fairy Tale by Stephen King. And I was reading that for like an hour and I was just kind of getting tired. It was late at night. And I switched to the Kindle just to see, how that would go. And immediately it was kind of like my mind reset or something, where I could go for another hour. And it was like, I didn't even finish reading the hardcover. It was just a completely different experience. I think it basically just reset my mind so that I could continue reading. So I really think that an e-reader is also going to expand how many books I can read a year, which is a plus in my book. But why did I buy a Kindle Signature Edition and not something like the Kobo or even like the Barnes & Noble Nook like my brother had gotten a while back? So originally I wanted the Oasis. And if you are aware of like if you are up to date with the technology on what Kindle offers right now, the Oasis is kind of like, I think, the most outdated version of all of the Kindles. Now, technically, it's the premium model, but it doesn't come with stuff like USB-C, which, as a techie myself, I really wanted USB-C. It does have the physical page turn buttons, and it's larger. But the USB-C issue was a pretty big deal with me. Also, I was going to be getting the 8GB version of the Oasis, just because the 32GB version was going to be not way too expensive for me, but not worth it for me. And I wanted, I was going to be fine with 8GB, but the Oasis was much more expensive than the Paperwhite, and I couldn't really justify that. Like, this one is pretty tiny, and I know the Oasis isn't an enormous amount larger or anything. But with this thing, I could literally put it in my like hoodie pocket and walk around and not even, turned it on, and not even notice it's there. And I don't think anyone else could notice it was there. Like my wife and I were sitting at a restaurant the other day and we're waiting for our food and she's on her phone. I'm on my phone. And I'm thinking, why am I on my phone when I can just pull out my Kindle and read a few pages? And that's exactly what I did. And when the food came, I just lock the screen and put it right back in my pocket. Simple as a phone. So with the Oasis, I think that might have been slightly too large to do. So, I mean, to recap, yeah, like this one's smaller, cheaper, basically just as good, minus the page turn buttons. Plus, it's got some updated technology, USB-C, which I will give you guys a warning if you plan on buying USB-C Paperwhite. I actually tried to plug it into my Samsung USB-C. It charged for maybe 15 seconds, and then it stopped charging. I haven't tried it with any other USB-Cs yet, but I plugged it into the one that it came with, and it worked fine. So I don't know if it's something with my Samsung cable or if Amazon has locked it down so you can only use the USB-C cable that it comes with. But just a heads up on that, so don't expect to be able to use it with any USB cable. Normally with phones, I've never had a problem switching USB cables, or USB-C cables, but you never know. And so I did say that I'm going to mainly buy indie books on this. I would say most of the new books I buy on it are going to be indie books, at least in the short term. However, if I do see a deal on like a Stephen King or another author that I really love, there's a good chance I'm going to buy it on the Kindle, especially if I think that I'm going to be traveling soon or if I'm going to want to take it somewhere. But I mean, the absolute great thing about this thing is that I can take it really anywhere, and I don't really have to worry about it. If you are really picky about your books like me, I actually, when I go around and hold my book and read it, I'll actually feel a table to make sure it's not like damp and I can't tell or something, or recently wiped before I set it down. Because if you've ever set like a paperback down on a slightly damp table, it's going to soak up all that water immediately. With this thing, for one, is waterproof, so I can just set it down, not worry about it. And I don't have to worry about destroying destroying an actual physical copy of a book. So that's a big that's a big plus for me. I will ask anyone out there who's watching this, is there anywhere else I can buy books besides Amazon? Yes, I did buy a Kindle from Amazon, but let's be honest, this isn't going to make or break their quarterly sales. But if anyone knows a spot that I can buy books, a website or something where I can buy books and put them on my Kindle, that would be awesome. I am willing to go through the process of Caliber. I know you can do that, and I think rip the DRM or something along those lines. But if anyone has any suggestions, please leave a comment below on where I can get books, because if I can avoid sending more money to Amazon and buy books from a smaller company, that would be awesome. Anyway, so that's what I think about the Kindle. That's why I bought the Kindle. I will say though one more thing. I didn't do too much research into the Kobo or the other smaller e-reader companies. And the reason I didn't go that route is because I figured if I was going to buy an e-reader, I wanted probably one of the most popular ones, not necessarily the best, but one of the most popular ones where I would get a full and exact, I guess, experience on using e-reader. I didn't want to buy one that turns out to be crappy and then it turns me off from e-readers forever. But with this one, I'm super happy with it so far. I highly recommend it if any of those reasons I mentioned make sense. If you need portability, if you want a new experience, definitely pick this up. This isn't a tech review or anything, but it really is completely different than reading on something like an iPad or a smartphone. I definitely recommend it. So that's what I think of the Kindle. If you like this video, please leave a like on it. If you want to see more content from me, please subscribe. And, let me know what you think in the comments also, and the suggestion for the ebooks, please. So my upcoming reviews, I'm going to have The Haunted Forest Tour by Jeff Strand and James A. Moore, like I said. And I'm also going to be doing a review on Fairy Tale by Stephen King pretty soon, as I finish that. But also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Chris Digresses, and I recently created an Instagram account. No photos on it yet, no images, but it's going to be book related. That's going to be Chris Digresses into Books. So thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you have a good day. I'll see you again next time.